Greetings everybody, this is the Campfire Council and Thunder Hands. Now this is going to be the first of a series that I'm kicking off under that umbrella called the Campfire Council, and we are getting some interest in this because there's not a lot of other stuff out there and people know they got to get ready. And so if you haven't received the concept of what I'm talking about here, you should watch my last video, which I'll put a link to. I'll put a bunch of links down in the about this video section on YouTube. I want to talk about, but the first thing that anybody has to know, and we're going to start right in here with some heavy stuff as far as realization goes. And if you listen to this stuff, things are going to happen for you. Changes are going to start taking place to where you're going to get motivated and you're going to want to link up with the community here that I'm forming so that we can do some proactive things, okay? But in order to link up, you have to wake up, okay? And be in presence. And the name of this video is Detachment, Contemplation, and, well, actually it's Presence, Contemplation, and Detachment. I already mentioned the presence, so in the first part, waking up. What does that mean? Well, presence is a way of thinking, a mindfulness, okay? It's getting out of that hypnotic mode that we're all in, and we are all in a sort of hypnosis, although I can say for myself, I'm not so much in that hypnosis, I'm more out of it. And that's part of what being enlightened means. So as we go around from day to day doing our tasks and you know, in the rut that we're in, repeating the same tape loop over and over, we're not really in presence. We're on autopilot, okay? So like I said before, I did a thing on presence. I did an exercise. I did a video on that, and I will put that in there. But I think explanation is in order as far as trying to explain what it's like to really be awake and be in presence. That means, you know, you're not walking down the street in this hypnotic frame of mind. You're not driving your car on the freeway. You're out of that. You're out of it. You're in the present. You're present to all your senses. Okay? And so what that does is it makes you aware. And when you look at things like what's happening around the world and stuff like that, it affects that awareness too. You become more aware on a global level, on a cosmological level, on a cosmos level. So once you become aware, then you see what's going on around you, and you see what you've been in, and you see the rut that you've been in, and you see that yourself, as I have said before, is not really you, because that's all programmed too. So you got a programmed person, delusional and hypnotized. That's what we are as a race, as most people are that way. That's unenlightened. That's dumbed down. Okay? So what you need to do is wake up, okay, and realize that you are hypnotized, and that you are in this rut, and that you are not who you think you are. Now I'm going to tell you something really deep right here. People go, well, I mean, they don't understand this concept of, like, when I say you're not who you think you are. So just a real quick review. We are a bunch of, picture a room. Okay, this is the best way I can explain this right now. Picture a room. Okay, it's a round room, and that's you, that's your brain, that's your thoughts. Okay, it's a round room, has all these doors in it. Okay, and in each door there's a different person. Okay, and each person is, like I said, unique unto themselves. And who are these people? Well, they're you, or who you think is you. Now these people are all, they could be the part of yourself that was in high school. There's one. There's another part of yourself that was in grade school. There's another. There's another part of yourself that went through a certain experience in your life. And every one of these selves, okay, has a mindset, a worldview of what, from that particular time period. Bear with me here. So you got all these thoughts from all these different time periods, all these little men talking to you, okay, in your head. The little you, the rebellious you, you know, the part where you went through high school and rebelled against your parents, the part where, the other you, where you had, where you were forced to go to some type of religious service or do something you didn't want to do. There's a million of these little doors in this room that is your consciousness, okay? And that's what controls you, because that's your belief system. That's the way you were formed. That's the way you were hypnotized, okay? Mesmerized, okay? Into this thinking you're this certain person of all these little persons in your head, the programming, not the essence, not the true you when you were a baby, before all this shit started, okay? So what do you do? What do you do? What's a way to not have all these little men programming you and, manifesting your reality? Maybe some realities you don't want, some fears you don't want, some belief systems you don't want anymore, like lack of money or lack of love or whatever. Or I have to struggle, or there could have been a period of time in your life, one of those little men, So think about that. Now, what do you do? Again, what do you do? Well, most people can't cope with it, so they create what I call a god, okay, that tells them what to do on a conscious level, not a subconscious level. Doesn't help at all because you're bypassing all the little men in there, okay? So you create a god or a central motherboard, or if you on a computer you would call it the hard drive or whatever, that controls all these, tries to control all these little men by a belief system, another belief system, okay? But how do you get to the real deal? What I call the real deal. How do you get to that part of yourself that is not yourself, that is above yourself? It's the best way I can describe it is like some type of overlord or ancient of ancients that is really you, that is the God you, that is the essence you, that is the spiritual you, that is the soul you. Well, you just, that's where detachment comes in. This is heavy, heavy stuff here. You should listen to this. And I even listen to these things back because I get into just like channeling spirit. But detachment, you detach from all these little men. You say, hey, look, I'm going to have to take a break here, that are talking to you. You just form a conscious decision that you're going to detach. Okay. And then what you do is you turn it over to what I call a natural flow, not a God, but a natural flow of the higher, primordial chi essence, the great mystery, okay? The great mystery, that great all-pervading highest spirit, if that's what you want to call it. And you just say, I'm going to let that flow through me. And if your chakra, your crown chakras are open, and all you're going to feel the chi flow because it flows freely. It's there for you. And so what that does is it comes down and you just, now then once you get that feeling going, this is all about like being in presence. That's why it's so important to do those exercises about being in presence and having mindfulness. Then occasionally, you can just like make a picture and feed it into that computer, because see, you are the person that is typing on the computer. That's the higher self, the higher God. You can become that. That's how you create. So you just type in there, boom, program in whatever. Prosperity, abundance. Or you see it going into a little funnel in your head. You picture it, whoop, and it just gets sucked right down in there, and you say, yeah, money wisdom, relationship wisdom. It's all in the Akashic records. It's all out there. It's free to us. So we just have to use it. Now, contemplation is important too. So we have presence and being in presence and contemplation and detachment. All these things work together. When you're detached, you can truly contemplate with this higher self. Go, wow, look at the big picture. here's Thunder, or here's Joe, or here's, you know, whoever, Natalie, whoever. But is that really them? Because no, you're looking at it from the big picture. You're looking at it like a landscape of something that's going on with this energy field that you call you. So when you don't try to change things, when you just have this contemplation and these, you picture things in your head, you don't change them. You think about what you want, not what you don't want. So you picture things in your head. You have little dreams. I have lucid dreams, what they call lucid dreams, all the time. That's something you don't get right away. But I'll go into a dimension where I'll just be dreaming, but still be fully conscious and see that dream and go, wow. That's where you want to be able to get. And that's how I do half of these shows, and that's why I pause, and sometimes I get this distant stare in my eyes, or I'll jump around, is because I'm letting it flow through me, but yet sometimes I try to control it. When I try to control it, that's when things go awry. When you just let it flow from you, that's when things start being truthful, because it comes from a higher source. So anyway, let's jump back to this Campfire Council just for a minute here. This is kind of like a prerequisite lesson to get people in the right frame of mind so that they're ready to do a tribal thing. They're ready to let go of all this bullshit that's been programmed into their head through, being hypnotized through their whole life, and all these little people. When you go into deep meditation, you hear all these little people that are parts of you, and there's male parts and female parts, and I mean little boy parts and grown up. I mean, there's all kinds of parts, and they all have an opinion. Okay, that's overwhelming. And you hear these opinions, man, like when you go into deep meditation, you hear stuff like, wow, that's not me. It is you, or who you think is you, or who you let be you. Because you give power to all these little men in there. They become you. So if you want to change things, well, then you start realizing that there's all these little men and thoughts and everything. You make friends with them, and you just kind of like start feeding them new information about, well, you didn't know this when you were 12 years old, so here's something you know now that I'm going to teach you a little wisdom. Okay, and you work with all these different little people in your head, and you give them info as to where you are now, the wisdom you have now that they, back then you didn't have. You reprogram the belief system, okay? And the basic way to reprogram it is to say, hey, there is no belief system. Make it up as you go along. Make it up as you go along. Make up a belief system that serves you. That serves you. That doesn't diminish you. That doesn't make you feel like you're not worthy. I'm not worthy. Punish me. Shit from childhood, man. It's all in there. Relationships, I'm bad. I could have made it work. Who is I? It's somebody that you thought you were at that particular time in your life. Why even revisit it? You're way beyond it. So that's what I'm saying. This is the kind of stuff you got to know, and you got to pay attention. You got to listen to thunder and consider it, because you have to change that consciousness before you're going to get motivated to get out and do a community thing, or us get some land, or pool our resources. That's another thing I've been thinking about. Get enough people that have a little bit of money, or a medium amount of money, or resources, or prosperity, or whatever. You get enough people, get them together, and you have enough to do what you want to do as a collective. You could even form a 501c, or forget what it is now, the nonprofit thing, but I did that once. It's not that hard. This is the way you have to think, because you have to think about being your own tribe, okay? That's not part of this whole system of deceit, lies. You know, it's just like before, earlier on, when, you know, when the European man came over here, the white eyes, the white, that's what they were called back then. Incidentally, you know why you call them white eyes? It's because the whites of their eyes, some people, are really white, and the indigenous people are more like coffee colored, or maybe a little bit lighter than that. That's where that term came from. It's not necessarily a bad term, it's just a descriptive term. But when they came over here, that's when all this stuff started about control, and us not, yeah, us not having our own land and our own tribe and our own self-governance, and because nobody is owned if they don't want to be. And if we don't want to be owned, then we have to form our own little community, not a government, a community, okay? A council of people that all respect one another, and that all, you know, there's equal sharing and equal talking. Everybody gets the talking stick and gets to say their piece without anybody else interrupting until they pass that talking stick to somebody else. There's too much jumping in conversations, and controlling and projecting, and it's okay to project if you project good things. And we'll learn how to do that too. But people, we got to get this thing going where we get some land, get some resources, get some, you know, if there's lawyers out there, whatever, that have a spiritual bent, or are open to helping the people as a whole and living as a whole and getting ready for survival when this all comes down. And it will come down, is coming down, probably already 3/4 of the way there. It's just that final hammer that has to fall, and then people are going to go, you know, too late. So instead of sitting around and listening to YouTube videos, some of these people that are out for their own agenda and just trying to, you know, trying to make their living or do their thing, it's okay. But how does that help all of us overcome what we have to overcome, or change from a grassroots level what we have to change? And what we have to realize is there is no government, there is no any of this stuff. It's an illusion. So we create our own, not government, we don't like that word, tribe, like it's supposed to be, like it was always was before it got screwed up, before people got divided, before even the tribal people are brainwashed. Sorry to say it. But even they are hung up in the gang thing and all this stuff, not the old ways. Now, if we get, we got to slowly start figuring out ways to gain, you know, you need to go, join this. I have several communities and I'll post them down here. I have the Arizona Spirits community. I have Thunder Circle. I got all kinds of things. If you want to get on board, you're going to hit some of these links and you're going to start giving positive input, and that means in all forms, monetarily, physically, spiritually, whatever, you're going to start contributing. Okay? Whatever. And you're going to, if you have questions, you come to me and email me and I'll give you the straight answer about it. But this is a collective, and in a collective you know, you all collect things until you get to where you want to go. So we're looking for some land in northern Arizona. I mentioned that before. If anybody, wants to, has some or knows, because some of this, once the 501c or whatever that nonprofit stuff is formed, then it'll all be deductible. Got to work within the system, but then forget it. So that's another way to detach. That's another way. Somebody said these videos are kind of long. Well, they're not. Not in the scheme of things, because this is all information that you need to know, and a lot of spiritual stuff that you need to know. Okay? And this thing about contemplation and detachment and all of this stuff, these concepts you have to pay attention to, because if you don't, after this video, you're going to go boop right back into the same old, yeah, got to go to the store, got to do this, got to do that, and you're not going to concentrate until it's too late on getting out of the cities, getting out of your rut. And I'm here to help you do that. I don't want to be a leader. I'm not a chief, like I said before. That takes a long time looking at somebody, and you just don't vote somebody into office like they did certain people we know that make promises. No. This is a collective thing, and I'm just here to help organize it and contribute my energy and my knowledge, wisdom, and techniques that I know in certain areas to help. As long as I'm walking this planet, might as well. It's sincere. And people, people have donated, and you can donate by going to one of these websites and hitting the donate button. It's PayPal, whatever. One of them says donate to the Hopi video. Doesn't matter which donate button you hit, just hit it and donate. And you can do it with credit card or whatever. But then tell me about it. I get your email, we hook up. I say this person's serious, because they're already, it's not a prerequisite to donate. But get a hold of me anyway, because you have something to donate, even if it's yourself, your spirit, your something that can be used in the effort. Somebody's got to do this. We can all sit around all day and talk about, yeah, we should do this. There should be grassroots effort. There should be what sounds good to you. And I talked about this concept of the campfire. You got to keep that in your mind. Because how many people do not like sitting around a campfire, relaxed, talking to everybody, chilling, okay, at the beach or in the, by the stream or up in the mountains. This is the way we're supposed to be living, okay? And we can do it as a collective. You have to pass this video around to people that are interested, not just anybody, people that you think are kindred that are interested. You have to go and say, how can I develop some resources for Thunder or this whole collective, the Campfire Council? I'll need some help on this, I'm ready to get some people in here but they have to be go-getters, and preferably they probably should be. I like to appeal to younger people uh, to get involved in this, maybe, because don't spin your wheels if you get out of college with some business degree. I mean, put it to good use. Have a cause, have a purpose for mankind and, the indigenous people or whatever, the planet. How about that? We live here. So again, I'm going to put the links down there, and this is like just a series of counsel, thoughts for consideration. And if it catches on, boom, it catches on. You can only hope that Spirit, let's get these people going. Let's get them, instead of sitting there watching, about the financial news and the doom and gloom and all this crap that we know is going on. If you're halfway aware and you've passed that point where, yep, it's in critical condition, we better do something other than just sit there and make dumb comments on YouTube or, that don't. It's like that say, everybody's got an opinion, and they're like some appendage, on the rear end of a dog, or anybody. Everybody's got one, right? But what we want to do is get into coherent thinking and not just this ego, this is what we should do, man, blah, blah, blah. No, we want to go beyond ego and beyond what I was talking about before, all those little selves, and we want to hook up on a higher level, an energy level, and boom, things happen. That's how you make things happen. In fact, there's even a thing in the Bible, and I read all religious books, okay, and I know all the mythology of all the tribes. Well, not all the tribes, but the tribes I'm interested in. But there's that saying where two or more are gathered, but it's been said before in other ways, in tribal ways, where there's safety in numbers, power in numbers, more energy in numbers. You multiply if you are of unified thought, you multiply your radio transmission to the universe. You know what I'm saying? So let's do it, people. Okay, I'm out of here. This video is getting kind of long, I know. 33 minutes out of your life. Okay, so go to the links below, click on them, think about this. I'll be back. And if I'm not, carry on, I mean, you never know. The world could end tomorrow, or I could end tomorrow, or any of us could. But right now, I think there's a purpose for me to be here, and as long as I'm here, this is it. Okay? So peace be unto you, and until next time, later on.